Hello everyone, my name is Sherry Minnie and I live in the beautiful state of Colorado in a small rural town called Keansburg, and we're about 45 minutes northeast of Denver. Today is a beautiful day in Colorado. We still have a little bit of smoke from the fires on the west coast that block our beautiful mountains, but it's still a warm and nice day and we're thankful for that. Today we're going to be working on a card features a bundle from the new mini catalog that runs from September to December, and it's one of my most favorite bundles in the whole catalog, and I will show you that, where that is at, as soon as I find where I set my catalog. Here it is, hiding from me. This one is called Peaceful Cabin, and if I can find it, I'll show it to you. Here we go. It's on page 37, and this is the mini catalog. You all should have a copy of that by now. If you don't, please just get in touch with me and I'll make sure that you get a copy. And we're using this bundle right here, and we're also using this beautiful designer series paper. This bundle, if you were to be interested in purchasing it, you do get a 10% discount when you purchase the stamp set and the dies together. And if you were to purchase this, you would have enough to get one free gift from our celebration promotion that goes on and ends on September 30th. And there are some really neat little things you can get in here for free with a $50 purchase. This paper is gorgeous. It's called Bedazzling. There's just a lot. There's some very pretty papers that go with or cute papers, I guess, that go with our penguin set. Lots of fun things in here, stamp sets, just tons of things that you could pick. You pick out one for every $50 purchase, and there is a couple that require a $100 purchase that are a little bit more, have a little bit more to it than the other ones. And then for the paper that we're using today, this is gorgeous paper that has a lot of silver foiling on it. A lot of the cards can just be cut into card fronts and do your stamping down here, and you have your card ready to go. So this one is some beautiful trees. On the back is just a simple pattern. Here we have cabins, A-frames, all kinds of fun things there. The back side is, here's this foiled part, kind of looks like, I don't know, rain or something. I'm not real sure what that would be. Here's a wood pattern that's all foiled. And then on the back we have more trees. This one is trees, and these trees are foiled. This is a really nice one because you can cut this into panels and make your card front, and that's really all you need to do, and put some kind of sentiment on it. And on the back is just another soft gray pattern. These trees are like snowflake, with snowflakes coming down, and again, that's all silver foiled. And on the back side of that one is just little kind of like polka dots. And like I said, this is the one that we're using today. And on the back side of this one is kind of a buffalo check pattern, which I think is great too. So that's what we're using. Love this pattern. Paper, you get 12 sheets, 6 patterns, two of each one. So, okay, so again, here's the card we're making. And for the stamp sets, as I said, we're using the Peaceful Cabin and the matching dies, which are called the cabin dies. We're going to be cutting out the trees, and we're going to be cutting out the cabins. And then for the inside, I used a greeting from the Poinsettia Petals, and I used the Merry Christmas. And I'm going to be honest with you. Let me see if I can tell you. I don't really know where I got the greeting for the inside, so I'll put that in my blog post. My blog post will have all the measurements and details of everything that I'm using on the card today, and I will include the name of that stamp set. We are also using basic gray ink. That's the only color of ink that we're using today, and we'll also be putting on some basic rhinestones. So to get started, you have a basic gray base, 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. You have a piece of basic white, which is 4 by 5 1/4. This is for the inside of our card. And then you have some pieces for the cutting out. Here's your designer series paper. We're not cutting anything out of this. It's 3 by 5.5. you have a piece of shimmery white, and I don't think that'll show up but it does have a shimmer to it, and it's, I just wanted it to look maybe like a little sparkly snow. Not sure if that accomplished that or not, but, and then you have two basic gray pieces. One is 3 by 4.5 that we'll be cutting our trees out with, and one is 2.5 by 4 that we'll be cutting out the solid piece of the cabin. So to get started, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to cut out our shimmery white, which is this piece right here, and I'm actually going to cut that out. I thought I had already done that, but I didn't. It's okay though, because I have my handy little mini cut and emboss machine, and I'll show you how we're going to do this. We're going to take this die, which is really a 2-piece die, okay? And so first of all, we're going to put that on our shimmery white piece, and then we're going to fit this piece on the inside, and it lines up, it fits in there very nicely. And what I did is I let it run over a little bit on this side and a little bit on that side. And if you have trouble getting it to stay in place, and just take a little bit of tape, hold this down where you want it, get that to stay down, and then you can line up your inside piece. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't cut this on my small machine, so we'll see how it does cutting out the smaller pieces. And then you just line your cabin up in there. And I do also tape it down, just because it might want to move around, and I don't want it to do that. So we'll just place that down, okay? And then we will take our base plate, our first acrylic plate, which is label number 2. You'll put this on top, and again you'll put the other number 2 on top, and we're going to run this through our machine. And I'm actually going to run it through and then run it back through, just because we were cutting out the little tiny squares for the windows and that kind of stuff, and we'll see how we come out. Looks pretty good. Stick this away. And we will take this off. We will be using this piece again, so I'm going to leave that one out. I will put the other one back. Okay. Now we only have a couple of actually 3 small pieces to knock out here. And usually that's the way it is. It goes, everything comes out so nicely. So then what you would do is you would take your 2.5 by 4 inch piece of basic gray, and you would take this piece, and again, we would line it up. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me get this out of here. And you take this piece and you line it up again on just your basic gray, and all we want is the kind of the outside frame of the cabin. I have already done that, so when you cut it out, you get this piece right here, and what we're going to be doing is lining up this cabin behind it. But before we do that, we're going to do our stamping. And so for the front, I'm going to be, like I said, we're using the basic gray. And we'll see how straight I can get this, being in the camera and stuff. It's easy to do it in the studio for me, but not always so easy when I'm on camera. So we'll just line this up on my grid paper. We will ink this. And I stamped it down fairly close to the bottom. Leave it on there for just a few minutes. Yeah, not too bad. Now, when you look at this, you might think, wow, Sherry, you didn't do very good, because look how dark that is. But when you look at the stamp, it is actually bolded, that last end of the first few times I stamped this, I'm like, wow, I don't know how to stamp anymore, I guess, but it's actually supposed to be like that. So it's kind of a cool technique. Then we need to put our fence and our little fox in. So here we have our fence stamp. Again, we're just gonna, and you can just put this about wherever you want it. I kind of wanted it just down from the cabin a little bit. And then we have our cute little fox. Now this is a very tiny stamp, so when you stamp it, don't put a lot of pressure or else it'll kind of scorch the stamp, and your fox will look a little bit misshapen there. So, okay, there we go. So that's all there is. Now the only other stamping that we need to do is to do our inside piece for the inside greeting, and I'm going to actually use the trees. Now this one has 3 trees on it. I didn't really want 3. I thought that was too much for this, for the inside piece. And I'm going to grab a piece of scratch paper so I don't get my pad messed up. I apologize if you hear my squeaky chair. If it squeaks, it's still, I can't get it fixed, and it's still good. I don't want to buy another one, so I'm just going to have a squeaky chair for a while. And I'm just going to stamp those down in the corner like that. Okay, while I have this one out, we will take the envelope, because we're going to do the same thing on the front of our envelope. And that's it for our stamping. We are done stamping for the day. This card is really not difficult. Oh, I'm sorry. I have one more piece. I need to put the Merry Christmas on the front inside piece, don't I? Got a wee bit ahead of myself here. And I'm just having a plain Merry Christmas. If you didn't want this to be a Christmas card, this would make a really cool birthday card if you had, especially if you had a guy in your family who has a winter birthday, or if you have somebody that has a cabin and just loves to go to the mountains. And I'm hoping I don't get my head in the camera. If we do, I apologize. Okay, there we go. I think I even got that one straight. Usually I use my Stamparatus. Okay, now we're going to, actually we can put our inside piece in. Make sure this is dry. I have a brand new, I just put a new refill in here, so you sometimes have to get them started. And hopefully it'll work for me. And it seems to be, which is a good thing. I do love this new Stampin' Seal, but sometimes it's a wee bit temperamental and I have to play around to get it to flow the way it's supposed to. Okay, and now we will turn this around and put it in our inside and hopefully get it straight. Not doing such a good job on that these days. My eyes are so not cooperating with my allergies. Okay, now we are going to take our cabin and get it all lined up. And I just think it's such a peaceful, I don't know, I just love the feel of that. And so what we're going to do is we're going to line this up, the dark gray piece with the white piece, and it's going to stick over a little bit, but I'll just trim that off. And that way you get all the detail of everything that's here. Okay, and so we will take, actually I think for this part I'm going to use my green cap glue, and we'll see if this one was almost empty, but I do have another one. So all I did was I took and I put glue on the solid pieces, and then just a tiny bit around the edges here so that they would be glued down. You can do little dots. It doesn't take a ton of this to get it to stick. So I just kind of made sure that I had it in all the little small areas, okay? And then we will take this and we will line it up. And with the green glue, you have a little bit of wiggle room, which is important with these kinds of things that you're trying to get lined up. So that it doesn't, so what you don't want any, you want it to be even as you can possibly get it right here, okay? And so we'll just push that down. See what a difference that makes in the cabin? Isn't it pretty? Just love it. And then I'm just going to take my snips and trim off. You could actually shorten this gray piece before you try to glue it on, and that's what I usually do, but to be honest with you, I kind of forgot. So we're just going to very carefully cut off this gray piece because we don't want any gray showing on the edges. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our stamping done. Now I want to show you a little trick with the Stamparatus, because now we're going to put down our designer series paper. And this has to line up at the top. Now, a lot of times when I'm doing that, if I just would take it and put it on like this, I never get it even. I either have it hanging over too much at the top, or I don't have it up far enough. So I decided, and actually I saw several demonstrators doing this on YouTube. So you take your Stamparatus or something with a cornered edge in it, and you lay your card in there, and I'm going to put my adhesive on this piece. And then what you do is you have this all lined up in the corner. And actually I have to go this way, I'm sorry. I'm kind of a right-brained person. And then you take this piece and you place it all the way over in the corner, making sure that your card base is stuck up in the corner, and then you push it up here to the top, and you have your designer series paper, and then you just rub it down, and there it goes on perfectly straight. You have no overhang. Now I have a little bit of an overhang on this side, because whenever you cut paper, you don't always get on the exact same spot when you cut it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, excuse me, I'm going to take off my glasses so that I can see nice and close. And I'm just going to trim this even with my card base. And all you do is you kind of rest your scissors against the side of the card base and trim off. And that way you have such a nice thing. Now we're also going to do the same thing. We have this piece here that has to go on the front. So this time we're going to do it just the opposite. We're going to put the open edge up here. We're going to put our glue all over this. And actually I used the, oh, wait a minute, guys. I'm so sorry. I almost forgot to put my trees in. Can't forget the trees. Got ahead of myself again. What is this? Okay, so what we're going to do here, and I'll put my silicone mat down since I've already started the glue. You're just going to take your trees, and what I did is I just kind of lined them up at the edge over here, and we're just going to put the trees behind the cabin. Now, you don't want any of the solid, this thick solid piece showing, so you just kind of line it up. And again, if you have a little bit of gray showing on the edge, you can just take it and take care of that. But since I've already got glue on here, I better be careful. So what I did is I just put the glue down here on the bottom part. And then I lined this up. I kind of eyeballed how far I wanted the trees. I pushed them down so that nothing really showed. And then there's your trees. Okay. Okay, I really got ahead of myself because I was going to stick this down without putting the dimensionals on it. That is not what we want to do. All right, so then we're going to take this piece. Let me make sure I'm doing everything on here that I need to. Excuse me, just a moment. I grab a drink of water. My throat's starting to tickle. Okay, maybe I can get through this without having a coughing spell. Just for my allergies, I'm perfectly fine. I'm not sick. So this one we're going to put quite a few dimensionals on, and you're going to put them along the roof line of your cabin. And along here, make sure I don't have any, oops, you know what, I do have a little bit showing here, and I'll just trim that off. I should have trimmed that down before I started. Sorry if I'm not in camera. There we go. Okay, now we'll get the dimensionals on here and we'll be almost done with this card. And to be honest with you, I put a ton on here. I always go overboard, but I don't like as I've told you before, I don't like my cards sagging. And this is kind of a heavier one in the middle here because you have all those pieces that you're putting together. And I just want them really popped up and looking really nice. This is a card that we will be doing in our Stamp-A-Stack. I told you on my previous video that I'm going to be doing a Stamp-A-Stack here at my house, if everything stays normal like it's supposed to, on the 23rd of October. And this is definitely a card that we'll be doing. Okay, I got plenty of on there, probably way overkill, but that's okay. Then I have to just take these off, the backings off. Again, I always use my pokey tool to pull the backings off. That way I can keep them together and I don't have them all over my house. I can just put them right in my little container for my scraps. It does help to control the backings a little bit. I think it's just as fast as trying to pull them off with your fingers, or at least for me it is. Okay, there we go. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to do this same trick because we have to line this, the piece that we just put the dimensionals on has to line up right down here. So this time you put your open end of your card in, and then you take this piece, sorry if I can pick it up, then now don't put it this way because you'll be upside down. Make sure that you put it in like this, and again, you're going to push it up, make sure it's tight in the corners, and then you're just going to lay this in here, pushing it in the corner and pushing it down, okay? And there you are. Again, very nice. It's even on the bottom. There's no overhang. And then the only thing we have left to do is to put on a few rhinestones. And you put as many as you want. I really like the way it kind of brings it adds to the silver sparkle and it brings out some of the snowflakes. So I think I did about 5 of them. And I just picked out some random ones that I wanted to put some sparkle in. And there's different sizes of rhinestones, so you can use smaller ones or bigger ones. I kind of used some of the smaller ones. And on these 2 bigger ones, I put a bigger one. So there's 4. I always try to do uneven numbers, as you know. They say that's much more pleasing to the eye, and I agree with that. Okay, there we are. That wasn't bad at all, was it? Very pretty card. Just like I say, I think it has just a peaceful feel about it. Again, all my measurements and details will be on my blog, which is simplylovestampin.com. If you have any interest in ordering any of the product, you can go to my online store at sherryminnie.stampinup.net. So everybody, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll be back with you real soon. God bless each and every one of you. Bye-bye.